Good afternoon everybody, and welcome to our sunset safari on a beautiful day here in sunny South Africa. My name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Senzo, and it is a special warm welcome to the school that is joining us this afternoon. So to HM Robbins, it's lovely to have you with us. I hope that you'll have a wonderful time and that you'll ask lots and lots of questions. Remember, you just have to ask your teacher, and your teacher will send all the questions to us, and we'll try and get through as many as we can and try and get after all the questions as possible. For those of you that are normal viewers and they watch us all the time, or even new viewers, remember that you can send your questions a little bit later on #Safari Live or YouTube chat. But before we get into anything and do anything else, I have a friend all the way in the Masai Mara, Scotty Dyson, and he's got something very cute and very small, and he wants to say good afternoon and show you his very special little friend.
Hello everyone, and a special welcome to all the school kids who are joining us today. Isn't this the cutest thing you've ever seen? These are tiny little warthogs. I would guess they are maybe less than a week old. They are some of the smallest little warthogs I've ever seen. And Mom's quite nervous, and the reason why she's nervous is because it's so windy. Like this, it's easy for predators like leopards and lions to sneak up on them, because the warthog's hearing won't be as good as normal. It'll hear all the leaves rustling and not know whether it's the footsteps of a lion or a leopard, or if it's just the wind. Ah, there's a baboon. Do eat plants most of the time. They also sometimes eat meat, and I guess they're quite similar to us as humans. They are our cousins. There is also a zebra tucked away there. And like Tristan said, we are in the Masai Mara, a few thousand kilometers north of where Tristan is in Africa. And it's quite a lot different here, as you'll notice as you look around. It's not as thick, and it's definitely a very beautiful place. Let's take you on a little bit of a journey of the surroundings. As you can see, there is a lot of rain in those clouds, and Taylor, who you'll meet a little bit later, I think is possibly getting caught in that rain right now. Well, I'm going to head down the hill and start exploring those plains. I'm hoping to find some lion that we were with this morning. I forgot to say that my name's Scott, by the way, and I'm teamed up with Jahawi on camera. It's been great to have you on board, but now we are sending you back to South Africa, not to Tristan, but to Noel.
Hello everyone, welcome. Thanks Scott. I am Noel, and again we are live. You can follow us on #Safari Live and YouTube chat. We are sitting here at Treehouse Dam watching some blacksmith lapwings. For anyone that's been watching before, blacksmith plovers. We have a mum, we have a dad, and we have two babies. The babies are brand new, probably hatched somewhere today, and so hopefully we can get a nice view of them just on the edge of the water. We've been watching them for a couple of moments now. There we are, perfect. So you saw the size of the adult there. Now these little babies can fit in the palm of my hand. Teeny tiny. And because the parents are relaxed, they're also super relaxed. If the parents were to decide that anything was a threat, say us or any other animals in the area, they would start clicking. The reason why they're called blacksmith lapwings is that it sounds like metal hitting an anvil, how they used to make swords in medieval times, that sound. And then the chicks will run and hide to get out of the way. Busy looking for little insects there. It's a gorgeous reflection. Now the parents will have staked out this area earlier in the season. They actually stay here all year round. They're very territorial, and then they will defend it against other blacksmith lapwings. But then also, if anything comes too close to their area that they deem theirs, they will mob them. So sort of chase them around, fly at them and chase them off to get them away. So that could be anything from an elephant, it could be us, it could be birds of prey. I watched them chasing a drongo. It's a little black bird with a little forked tail earlier today. Quite aggressive. They look nice, but they can be aggressive when they want to be. Checking for insects there. All right, on the other side of the dam, where the other parent is, we have some Egyptian goose as well. We'll just head over there. Now, Egyptian goose occur in Africa, but they also occur in Britain. I've had guests say that they've been in Britain. Oh, and then there's Gendre, do you see that? Oh, and I forgot, Gendre's on camera. Sorry, Gendre. Wonderful Gendre on camera.
What do I see?
So, sorry. So if you go back to where we were just now, do you see that other, next to that dung, the elephant dung, do you see the blacksmith lapwing that's lying down? It just stood up there. So this is super interesting. We were just talking about how they're territorial, and now we've got 2 adults that side and 1 adult this side, but the one that's on the back side that you can see there just on the right earlier was over here with the chicks, and then it's gone over. But then now if we come back to our other ones, Gendre, you totally read my mind. Do you see how that other parent's pulling across? So these ones must, there's this one in front here, and then just behind and to the right is the other one. So these guys must have sort of half the dam is mine, half the dam is yours sort of scenario. If we just go a little bit to the right there, Gendre. Perfect, there. Very cool. So we don't have a lot of water here at the moment because we haven't had our rainy season. We should have had rains already. We are into our first, almost second week of November. So hopefully they'll come soon. And then even though they're territorial, we might decide that they want to move off, or they might just keep staying here, and when this fills up then they get more space. Alright, we're going to head back to Tristan, who's on the other side of Djuma, driving around, seeing what he can find.
Well, we are driving around. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see much just yet as we sort of approaching a dam, but I see Noelle's already here, so I'm going to try and just head past her and carry on. I needed to do a little time lapse, which is a little camera that we placed, but I'll come back and do that a little later, and I'm going to head on towards Twin Dams, which is another dam. Now, the reason why we're all checking dams this afternoon and water points is because at this time of the day it is very, very hot, and that means that there is a lot of animals that want to go and drink water. It's like us when we're very cold, we try and head towards water to try and swim and cool down, and it's the exact same thing for the animals. So you'll see things like elephants and buffalo. They will come towards these dams to try and cool down and just get a bit of sort of time out from the hot sun. So that's why we're both checking in those areas. I actually thought Noelle was at a different dam altogether, but it's okay, it's the way it goes. Right, but I hope we'll have some luck with some elephants, because at the end of the day it is very hot, and so hopefully they will be out and about. Now, my other friend that is also out in the eastern part of Africa with Scotty is Taylor, and I'm sure she is ready to go this afternoon, and I think she has a very, very special surprise for all of you that she wants to show you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Look what spotted friends we have for you after one serious adventure of a day. My goodness. Whew. But we'll tell you about the trials and all sorts of other things that we've had today. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Manu, and he's been such a trooper. Remember, this is live, this is interactive, this is happening right now. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, and then also you can chat to us via the YouTube chat. Now, we're with the 5 boys here. I'm going to try and get a better visual of them. and they're on the move. My goodness, it's been an interesting day. So we'll hopefully this is going to be the highlight of our day so far. We only just recently come unstuck of being in the mud, which was quite fun, of course, and then we may have had a collision with another car. Someone decided to park right behind us. Can you believe it? And we just bumped. But that'll teach him for parking right behind me. And even though we have our don't follow stickers all over the car. So that was quite fun. It's been wonderful. But it's been quite a bit since I arrived here. They've been chasing D'Artagnan and one other cheetah. What they did. Sort of just walk straight past a group of Thompson's gazelle. Thompson's gazelle staring at them, making sure that they are in their sight at all times. And they're communicating quite a bit as well. There's quite a bit of chatter amongst them today. I'm not sure. Kirst, can you guys still copy me? I know I was having some problems with com. Thank you. Wonderful. I believe we are in a school drive today. I'm so sorry. I'm just jumping on board now. It's been a very, very, very busy day. We've been stuck for about 3.5 hours. I'll show you a picture now. I'm sure for those of you with the school have never seen cheetah before, which is really amazing. The fastest animal.
Well, unfortunately, Taylor has got a few little issues with her signal, which sometimes happens because we are in the middle of the bush where there is sometimes little things that we call gremlins, which are little monsters that get onto our equipment and make it a little bit difficult for us to send out a signal. So I'm sure we will get rid of them soon and we'll be able to then get Taylor back and have a look at those beautiful animals. Now, I'm on my way to another dam quickly because I want to just check to see, like I was saying just now, if there's any sign of elephants or buffalo at the dam. I was hoping that we would find some. Yesterday there were lots of elephants at all the dams in this area, and so maybe we're going to get lucky with a lot of them at this dam that's coming up. It's just in front of us at the moment, so it's not very far at all. I think it's take us about 2 minutes to get there, so hopefully there will be a nice surprise for us at the dam. Now, this other waterhole that we have in front of us is not just good for the elephants and the buffalo. We also see a lot of leopards here, and so maybe if we're very lucky we might get chance to find a leopard at Twin Dams, which is where one of our favorite leopards that we see a lot of, a young male called Hosanna. He's a young prince of this area. He likes to hang around a lot here, so it's going to be good to check. But before we get to the dam, there's two beautiful animals on my right hand side. Now, these are two of our most common animals that we see here. They're called impala. So some of you may know that from a car that you get in the United States called the Chevrolet Impala. This is the actual animal that is named, well, that the car is named after. And these guys we get all over this area. They're the most common antelope. There's lots of them. They're about the size of a deer, and so you might know a deer from back home, and that's about the size of what these impalas are. Now, both these two impalas that we saw walking away from us, you'll notice have big horns, which means that they are both boys. And if they have horns like that, they're boys. The girls, they don't have horns at all. They have just a bald head on top and no sign of those big horns coming off. But unfortunately for us, they're moving away a little bit. They're going towards some shade. I think it's too hot out in the sun, and so they're trying to walk as quickly as they can to get behind the trees and underneath the trees to be able to then get out of the hot weather and to sort of just take it nice and easy. You'll find once it gets a little bit cooler, then they're going to come down and maybe have a drink at the water once the sun goes down slightly. But let's carry on towards the waterhole. Maybe we will get lucky with something at the waterhole itself. Yesterday I had a beautiful big elephant bull here, so maybe I'll get lucky again. Although it doesn't look like any elephants today, but that's okay. Maybe something else is lurking and will surprise us at the water. We're also right at the end of our dry season now, so our wet season is going to start soon, and that means that there's not much water for the animals anywhere else, and so that's why checking these areas is very good, because there's not a lot of water and they need to kind of walk quite far to get it, and so because there's not much all over the place, they concentrate around these areas, and that's why the predators come here, like the leopards, to be able to hunt those animals. Good place to check. You might find that it's still warm now and that it'll get a little cooler later and animals will start to come down and actually drink, but you sometimes find them just on the edges when it's all resting in the shade. But at this stage it might be quite quiet. I'm going to go on top of the dam wall itself and I'm going to look around and see if there is something on. So I'm sorry about that, we had a little break in the signal, and that's those gremlins I was talking about just now. But like I was saying, remember, you can ask any questions that you've got. Just ask your teacher and she will send them through, even if it's got anything to do with Africa. You want to know any questions that the African wilderness and all the animals that live here. Now this is the dam that I was talking about. You can see it's quite a large dam. At the moment it's fairly dry, so it's not as big as it can be, and it's lost a lot of water through the dry season because the elephants and all the animals have come and drank here, and they've used it to mud wallow and to throw water on themselves, and that means that there's lost a lot of water. Also, because it's very, very hot, we've got what's called evaporation, where the water turns into water vapor and then travels into the sky. But look, on the edge of the water here, we've got a beautiful big lizard. So there's a lizard that's sitting, having a swim on the edge of the water. It's called a Nile monitor. So monitor lizards are quite common in this area, and when it's hot like this, they like to have a little swim. So it's sitting on the edge of the water to try and cool down. Also, it's going to be hunting in the water, so it's going to hunt things like frogs and fish and any sort of eggs from birds that are laid around the water's edge. You saw with Noelle that she had a tiny baby lapwing. Now lapwings will nest very close to the water, and then the eggs will be on the ground, and these monitor lizards can come and try and eat those eggs. But I think in all likelihood, because of how hot it is, this animal is a cold-blooded animal. It would have warmed up in the morning, and now its blood is warm. It can then go into the water and start hunting, and so it will go from kind of edge of the water all the way along looking for any signs of food. But that is so cool to see. I'm very jealous of this monitor lizard, because I think I would like to be a monitor when it's hot like this. Go lie on the edge of the water, be nice and cool, watch the world go by, and you have the best view of all the animals that come to drink. Raiden, the temperature is 31 degrees Celsius or 88 degrees Fahrenheit. That's in the shade. So now out in the sun, it's a little bit warmer than that, and that's what makes it quite hot out here and difficult for the animals. That, coupled with the fact that there's a hot wind blowing, it makes it just feel a little bit warmer than it actually is. Now, other than our monitor lizard that is busy lying in the water, there's a couple other things that are floating about. The most obvious ones are the Egyptian geese, which are two birds that are on the other side of the water. They're also paddling about, and they won't be eating fish or any of the frogs or anything like the lizard does. These guys are what is called a filter feeder. So filter feeders have a beak that has little bristles in it, and almost like a comb, and they then go through the water with their head going side to side, and they're filtering any of the little microorganisms that are in the water, or little bits of food that are in there, and then they swallow it from that. So they're not eating any of the fish or anything like that. And then floating also in the water in a few places is what we call a terrapin. Now terrapins are basically freshwater turtles, and the difference between a freshwater turtle and a sea turtle is obviously these guys occur in areas away from the coast, so they don't go into sea water, they'll only stay in freshwater, and there's a number of them that are just hanging around the edges of the water. It's difficult to spot them because they go up and down all the time, but I'm trying to see if I can see one. Senzo, can you see one anywhere? I can't see any now. They were floating around just now, so hopefully we'll try and find one for you so that I can show you what our terrapins look like. And while we do that, let's go back to Scotty, who I believe has some feathered friends that might be having a little argument and a little fight. So let's go across and see what's happening.
Hello everyone, and I'm not too sure what's going on here, but it looks like these bastards are either mating or having a fight. Now, the reason why I think they could be mating is that it looks like they could be slightly different to one another, which makes me think one's a male and one's a female, but they've been flapping around so much in the grass that it's hard to be certain who is who and what is what. But maybe it's just a mature male and a slightly immature male that are battling it out. Maybe that's why they look a bit different, because they both definitely look like they are males. At one stage I thought maybe they're different species, but it is two black-bellied bustards, and they are two boys, and they are having a fight. And the reason why they're having a fight is it's that time of the year when they're looking for girlfriends. And it looks like one may be the victor, one is running off. Looks like it's coming straight towards us. We can't help you, buddy. They make a very strange call, which I think it may do now. It sounds like, almost like a cork popping out of a wine bottle. Oops. How interesting, and it's very seldom you actually get to see animals coming to a physical fight in nature. Usually they fight by having arguments or standing proud, making themselves look as big and intimidating as possible. But they're definitely not like us humans. We fight physically with our own kind far easier than you find wild animals. Maybe that's because we know we've got doctors to look after us if we get injured. They certainly don't, so they don't take as many chances, and it's fair to say that they're not, in general, as violent as us. So very interesting that we have seen them physically kicking one another about. I wonder where the lady is that they're fighting over, if she's nearby, spectating. Looking around, I can't see her. Well, that was very interesting. It's the first time I've seen bustards fighting, so that's a bonus. Now, we are heading up to a spot. Let's actually see if we can see them from here. Well, I can see where we left the lions. It's far away up in that direction. But I don't think they... Right, if you zoom in more, right in the center of the screen there, that tree there, they were lying... You can see there's a termite mound to the right of the tree, a big mound of sand. That is where the lions were sleeping a little bit earlier. Doesn't look like they're there from here, but maybe they're sleeping in the long grass. But we're going to rush you back off to Tristan, who's having a mud bath with some elephants.
I am indeed, Scott. I have found my elephants that I was looking for, and this is what I was hoping to see close to this waterhole. So just behind the big dam that we saw just now, where there was lots of water, is a little mud wallow. And this small family of elephants, it's just a mom and her two babies, have come down to the mud wallow, and look, they're having such fun. They're throwing mud all over themselves to try and cool themselves down. So what they do is, you'll see they use their trunk and they grab water and mud, and then they spray it onto their ears. Now, the reason they spray it onto their ears is because their ears is the way that they cool themselves down. When we're hot, we do what's called sweating, and we will release water through our pores and our skin, and that then with the wind evaporates and causes cooling to happen. With elephants, they don't have that ability, but what they do have is they have a lot of veins that carry their blood in their ear, and that is covered by a very, very, very thin layer of skin, much thinner than our skin. And when they spray the mud onto it, that cool mud cools the blood down and sends the cooler blood back into the body, and it can reduce the temperature. But look at the little baby, it's having a good wallow, it's rolling around. Now, Phoebe, you're asking how much do elephants weigh? Well, a big male elephant, he can weigh quite a lot. He'll weigh anywhere between sort of 10,000 and 12,000 pounds, and even as much as 14,000 pounds if he gets very, very big. But the females, they're a little bit smaller than that. You'll find that they're around 8,000 pounds when they are fully grown. So they don't weigh that much as the males. The males are much bigger, and that's because the males have to be big and strong to try and compete, to try and get a mommy elephant, and also to be able to fight with the other daddy elephants to get a area for himself. So that's why they're nice to be a lot bigger and stronger. They also have much bigger tusks, and so they have to have a lot more muscle to carry their tusks. And you see, once they've had a good mud wallow, then they start to walk back towards the shade where they'll start to feed. And the reason why they have to feed is because an elephant has a bad digestive system. Now, what that means is that elephants don't process or don't use everything that they eat, and so they have to eat a lot more to be able to keep that big body going. Now imagine you're not too big, but you have a lot of food that you eat 3 meals a day and even snacks. Now the elephants, being so big, they have to eat a lot more, and their digestive system or their tummy can process a lot worse than what we can, and that means they need more food all the time. And so they eat a lot. Now I'm going to go forward a little bit because I'm hoping the elephants are going to cross the road in front of us. Aria, you're asking when the elephants get full grown tusks. Well, an elephant is that they
everybody, welcome back. We are driving around trying to see if we can find Shadow, who was seen, yes, maybe 5 minutes before we ended our broadcast this morning. So Jeandre and I are just busy checking for tracks and trying to see if we can find her. So I've been told, Shadow, I don't know, I actually haven't really come into contact with her yet. I've been told by everybody she's called Shadow for a reason, and likes to hide. So leopards in general, the general rule of thumb with a leopard is that if they don't want to be seen, you're not going to see them, and that goes for really nervous, shy leopards. It also goes for very relaxed leopards. So Shadow, as far as I understand, is an in-between female leopard. She sometimes likes to be viewed, and sometimes she's like, no, it's not happening today. So it's ooh. No, boo. There was a beautiful, beautiful bird called a lilac-breasted roller, but it did not want to play with us. So we will keep going on. Maybe we find another one that I can show you. All right, so it's hot, hot day, as I was saying. So we want to look in the shade. We want to look in the shade under the trees. We want to look in the trees themselves. And because they're rosettes, here we go. Because their rosettes and their spots allow them to hide themselves and camouflage so well, sometimes they can blend into spots, sorry, pun not intended, into areas that make it almost impossible for us to see. But because there's 2 sets of eyes on the vehicle, and Jeandre and I both love a leopard, we might just get lucky. Ooh, I am gonna stop. Jeandre, I know you saw what I saw. We have dwarf mongoose who've just run from a stump, a dead tree in front of us, but then they've come into this little grassy patch where Jeandre is focusing, so we will just stop and have a look. So if you've never heard of a mongoose before, but you might have heard of a creature called Timon from The Lion King. So Timon is a meerkat. Meerkat and mongoose are cousins. We here on Djuma, here they come. We get dwarf mongoose, which is what we're trying to show you now. We get white-tailed mongoose. We get marsh mongoose. We get banded mongoose. I'm just, in case they don't come out, I'm just looking through my mammal book to show you a photo quickly. I can hear them. When I was a kid, my mom used to read us a story called Rikki Tikki Tavi. It was about a mongoose actually in India. But a Rikki Tikki Tavi used to kill cobras and eat them. So that's one of the things that mongoose do, is they kill and eat snakes. They will also eat insects. I can see one's little head poking out, Jeandre, left of where you are. In this, oh, you have 2 in the frame. Thanks, Jeandre. Sorry, there was a little bit of glare on the screen. Thank you. Oh, they're looking at you much more cutely than mine. You hear them. They were just chirping at each other, maybe at us. Taylor is in the Masai Mara, north of us in Kenya, and she has some amazing cheetah to show you that are heading right towards her. So we're gonna leave you with our little mongoose and head over that side to Taylor and the fastest land mammal.
We do have some cheetah and they're walking straight towards our car. How cool is this? There's 5 of them, 5 boys. And they are hungry, and in the distance there are zebra. There are lots and lots and lots of different animals for them to eat, which is very exciting. Now they're trotting right past the car. Look how close they are. Sure. Not worried about us at all. That's very cool to have 5 cheetah run past your vehicle like that. Look, last one. His name is D'Artagnan. Kirst, I can't copy you. Just going to turn around so we can get another view of them. Now there we go. Now, Stevie, you're wondering how long do cheetah live for? Typically, a cheetah could live 12, 13 years old, maybe even 14, but that will be very, very old for a cheetah. But unfortunately, I don't think they always get to live to their old age, like, say, your domestic cat would, or your cat at home would, because they're so low down on the predator hierarchy. So they're the smallest of the big cats. So you've got the lions, and you've got the leopards, and then you've got the cheetah. But then you've also got things like hyenas, and they will chase cheetah off of their kill to eat it, and sometimes they even kill the cheetah too, which is not good. Now those little black dots that you can see on the top of the horizon, those are wildebeest, and that is the cheetah's favorite food, especially because there's 5 of them. It's well, a lot of bellies to feed, so they need to try and catch something quite big, and it's very, very, very good hunting weather at the moment, which is so cool. You'll be very lucky to see a cheetah hunt. I can count how many cheetah hunts I've seen from start to finish on one hand. So how lucky are we today? That's very cool. There's lots and lots of things for them to choose from this afternoon. And they still got a while to go though. They're very, very far away, those wildebeest. Maybe about a mile away. It just looks a lot closer on the camera. They've got to cross an entire drainage system still, which they've still got to get to. That's where all those green trees are. And then they will head up to the top. How cool is that? But we're going to follow these boys, I think, for the rest of the afternoon, and hopefully they're going to catch something. Tristan has got my absolute favorite animal in the whole wide world.
We do indeed, Taylor. They have come back to us after some time of being away, but unfortunately with our gremlins that we have to stay quite far away from them at the moment. Hopefully they will come back towards us and they will head in this direction, although they're heading the wrong way now. That elephant was out in the open and was looking so nice, and it's now decided to go behind a wall of vegetation. Now, I'm sorry, when we broke up earlier, I was answering your question about the tusks and when will the elephant get big tusks. Well, the thing is about a tusk is that it's a tooth, it's a modified tooth, and so it grows all the way through their life. It just keeps on growing and it keeps on going, and so it means that when you first start to see the tusk will be at around 4 years old is when you first start to see the little tusk coming out, and only when they get to much older, 30, 40, 50 years old, that's when you see really big long tusks on the elephants, like maybe what you see in pictures. It takes a long time for their tusks to get like that. Also with these animals is that some of them will break their tusks, so some of them, when they bark or vegetation or root, will try and push their tusk in, and then they lift, and that causes pressure, which causes the tusk to break off, and so sometimes they'll have shorter tusks because of breaking them. It just depends on what they've done with them. Also, the tusk does wear down, so the more that they use them, the more the edges just kind of move off a little bit and wear off a little bit, and so the tusk actually starts to kind of get the same length and won't grow or get shorter as they wear them down. So normally we look at adult elephants at, like I say, around 20, 30 years old. They've normally got quite nice tusks by then, and only when they get really big, if they're big males with the right genes, they'll then get the really big long tusks that you may have seen in some of the pictures and magazines. Now our elephants, I think, are going to disappear, unfortunately. They've gone behind a bush, and I was hoping that they were going to come out, but it seems as though they have decided to go the wrong way, and because I've got gremlins, I'm going to try and move so that I can see them again, but let's go back to Scott, who I believe has got a very toothy, very large, tawny predator that I'm sure you're all going to be very, very, very excited to see.
Well, we've got lucky, and it appears the lions were just snoozing behind the termite mound that we had a long-distance spy on a bit earlier. We got you just in time to drop our rain covers and prepare for the storm that's setting in. As you can see, there's a lot of rain, lots of wind, and we're just shooting through this little window. We've got the wind in our favor, blowing onto one side of the car, which means we are dry. Sadly, the lions are not as lucky as we are, and you can see they're looking quite miserable. Now, this is one lioness, and there's actually another 2 smaller sub-adult cubs. They're probably around 7 or 8 months old now, and so that one's got 2 siblings, and they're missing one of the cubs and also one of the lioness. So I'm guessing one of the lioness is off somewhere else with the other cub. And a few minutes ago, I saw this lioness doing a contact call. Just a gentle call like that, trying to find her missing pride member. It's just the 2 lioness. And we've got lucky. They're on the move, and they're actually coming straight towards us. And I'm told you also had some wonderful views of the cheetah with Taylor. So the safari has got off to a wonderful start, and let's hope Tristan maybe gets lucky finding Hosanna the leopard. I'm told that's what his plans are, to try and search for that. Now this is good hunting weather for lions. It's not easy for their prey to detect them as they sneak up, but there's not too much prey in this general area, so they're going to have to go on a bit of a walk before they find any food. They were looking quite hungry this morning, and they certainly haven't moved. Oh, nice big yawn. They certainly haven't moved since we left them at about 8:30 this morning. So maybe we'll be lucky enough to join them looking for a meal. Now it's hard to see how hard it's actually raining from the picture. I don't even think you can see it's raining, but it's raining quite hard, and soon these lions are going to be quite soaked and a little bit cold. So maybe they'll decide to go for a walk to keep warm, and also to maybe reunite with the missing 2 pride members. Imagine not having anywhere to run off to when it's raining. I guess we may often take that for granted as humans. These lions have got nowhere to go really, and it seems like they are going to go for a walk to keep warm, look for food, and maybe the other pride members. And I'm told you guys can hear the pitter-patter of the rain. Very good. So what we're going to have to do now is close up that window, turn the car around so the wind's still in our favor, and we'll open up the window on the other side and film him out of that one. We've got our little mobile tent. Well, it's going to be a little bit bumpy, but we should be able to just track them, their general movements as we creep alongside them. We are off the road here. Hello, Jackson. You would like to know how much do lions weigh? Well, a female like this will weigh around about 120 kilograms, which is about 240, 250 pounds. Let me just stop here and let Jahawi do his business a little bit better. But males will be sometimes double that size. A really, really big male can be up to 240 kilograms. So the males are very, very big. And the lions are the biggest cats we have in Africa. Then leopard, then cheetah. This is such an awesome scene. Now you can see the rain a little bit better. I've always wanted to be able to film whilst it's raining, but we've only quite recently got these modifications done to the car, which is allowing us to see exactly what the animals get up to when it is raining. Looks like two of the cubs are getting left behind. Okay, very good. Well, we're gonna link ahead of them and get into another good spot and see what they get up to. And while we do that, we're gonna send you across to Tristan, who's found some elephants.
I do still have my elephants, and they are slowly but surely coming out into the open now, and we can see them a lot better. Now, it's quite interesting because generally we don't see small herds like this. There's normally bigger groups together. You normally find lots of adult females with their babies. Very seldom that you just see one mom with her babies by herself. So I don't know if the rest of the herd is maybe behind or is already come through and she's just lagging, or she's right in front, but I'm sure there must be more to this herd than just this female and these two little ones. But you see the little one has been sand bathing. It has thrown sand all over its head, and the reason it's done that is because it had a mud bath first. And so when they have a mud bath, they're still wet, and then they can throw sand on themselves, and the sand sticks to them, and that sand, not only does it create a layer between the sun and them and just helps to keep the sun off them a little bit, but it actually exfoliates their skin. And exfoliate means basically that it brushes their skin and gets rid of any of the dead skin cells. And it's like us getting into the bath, and when we use a loofah or a sponge and we brush ourselves, it's the same thing. So that's how the elephant does it, and it will get rid of any parasites or any things that are on their skin and keep their skin in really nice condition. But there you go, you see it's mom with the older baby and then the young baby right at the back. And you see they're moving quite fast, and it's because it's probably that there's a big wind that is blowing all of a sudden, and elephants don't really like wind. Elephants are not animals that enjoy the wind because the wind affects their hearing, and an elephant relies a lot on its hearing and its sense of smell. And so when it's very windy, it can't hear nicely and it can't smell nicely, so it tries to then move into thicker places, so areas with more vegetation or more trees and grasses and bushes where the wind will be less, and they can then hear and smell a bit better. Also, you can see, look at the elephant, look how it's lifting its trunk, so it's trying to smell what's on the wind, and maybe it can smell the rest of the herd in front of it, and that's why it's now moving in that direction to try and catch up with the herd and get the babies back into that area so that she has more protection in case there is any predators around. At this time of the day, she doesn't have to worry too much because here it's a little warm for the predators to be moving. The cats are all covered in thick fur, and so for the most part they will be sleeping now. But as time goes and the sun starts to set, so the predators get active, and it means that little babies like these ones could potentially be in danger from things like lions and hyenas. And so if she's with a bigger herd, it means there's more protection for her babies. Now she seems to have stopped at a tree that she wants to feed off, and what they will do is, as they're moving, and I was saying they'll move quite quickly, but they'll move for a bit, then they'll start feeding, and then they'll stop feeding, and then they'll move again, and this is how it goes throughout the afternoon until they catch up with those that they're missing. Ellie, you're asking if elephants can have hair. So they don't have really much hair on their body at all. With the most hair you'll see is on their tail. So their tail has lots and lots of hair on it, right on the tip of the tail. Yeah, you see lots of wiry hair, and that's about it for the elephant. There's a little bit of hair around their ear as well that they'll have that's softer, but other than that, not very much hair at all. It stops parasites from being able to get onto them. There is a little bit of hair on that skin, but not too much. And like I say, it makes it difficult for things like ticks and parasites to feed off their skin. Unfortunately, though, that's all we have time for this afternoon. I hope that you had a wonderful time about the African animals and seeing all the wonderful things that are out here in Africa. And I hope that you have a wonderful day further at school. And while we carry on Like I say, I hope that you don't have too much homework and that you enjoy the day further. For the rest of you, we're going to go across to Noelle and see what she's been up to. Hopefully she's maybe had a chance to try and track down Shadow and Cub from this morning.
Welcome back, everybody. Kirsten is serenading us from control room, and Jandre and I are having more than a good time listening to her lovely singing voice. So Tristan has some amazing Ellies for us, Scott and some lions, Taylor and some cheetahs. We are looking for Shadow. We got some bad information from this morning. Shadow was not seen. Tristan was was following her tracks. Aubrey was following her tracks. And then what ended up happening towards the end of our segment this morning was that the trackers found her youngster on foot. And then that was it. So we've just done a loop. I can't. I think she has left, like we were talking about this morning, she's left the youngster in there, the tracker saw on foot, and that she has gone off hunting, and it is hot now and there's places to hide. So what we are going to do is we are going to head back to up north to Kenya, to Scott with his lions, who are actually on the move. Weather's a little bit cooler there. A little bit of rain, I believe, is still happening. So everyone enjoy the Masai Mara.
Yes, they have been on the move up until now. She's just sat down thinking about what to do next. It's still raining quite heavily, and her and the cubs are getting soaked. There, the little cubs. Well, there it looks like they're possibly all bundled up trying to keep warm. Yeah, I think that is the case. Not enjoying this weather. What we're hoping is that she does a nice little head shake so we can see all the water flying off her. One of the cubs did it earlier. She hasn't done it yet, so she could at any moment. As a general rule, the big cats of Africa do not like water, even if it's very, very hot. They very seldom swim to keep cool, like tigers do. Having said that, though, I saw some really interesting photographs taken here in the Masai Mara from a few months ago, where there was some lioness lounging in a muddy wallow. But this is certainly not going to be enjoyable for her and her cubs. It's a pity there's not much food around, because like I said a bit earlier, it is great hunting conditions. We saw an ostrich not too far away from here. So that would be an epic thing to see lions trying to chase down. I've never seen lions hunting ostrich. Hi Paula, you would like to know if excessive rain is going to have any negative effects on the lion's skin or their coats. I highly doubt it. Unless, of course, the animals maybe get some kind of sickness from the cold weather and some secondary effects from that. But these animals are very tough, and they have evolved to survive rainstorms without having any shelters or covers to get to. So any of the lions that maybe many hundreds or thousands of years ago didn't like the rain, or skin didn't manage it, those ones would have died off, and only the strongest genes would have made it through. One's picking up a bit. You could have just seen the flap flop into frame quickly. Wonderful. Well, we're going to stay here and see what these lions get up to, and you guys are going to head off to Noelle and a lizard.
Hello, welcome back. We are playing a little bit of I Spy. So I spy with my little eye something that is sometimes with a blue head. So if you want to hashtag Safari Live, because remember we are live, or YouTube chat, and let us know what you think Jandre and I spy out here in the African bushveld. In South Africa, Jandre is going to creep in slowly, slowly with our I Spy game. Shame, Jandre, I feel a little bit bad because we can see it, but I don't know if our friends at home can see it. No one said anything yet. Maybe let's just hold there, Jandre, let them think. Oh. Well. And that's what happens when you try to play I Spy for too long. So, it was a blokop kogelmander, which is a southern tree Angama. That was my accented Afrikaans, which is sometimes good, sometimes not good. Today it's not as good. So a blue-headed Angama, and the males get this blue head when they're in mating season. This one's just coming in. He had a sky blue head rather than an electric blue head. I'm gonna try and come slowly around the tree. We won't play any more games with you this time. We will try and actually show it to you. Now what I would like this southern tree Angama to do is I want him to actually come out the tree and run on the road. I want to see his tracks. I cannot remember ever seeing tracks of an Angama, and I need to add them to my collection that I have on my computer, and also just into my, he went around the other side, Jandre, also into my memory bank. So what he does is every time we come around, he goes around to the other side. It's obviously a tactic, he's hiding. So we've pushed him back to the other side of the tree. I'm gonna try and back up as much as possible. Did you all ever think that you would be sitting at home watching us play Ring Around the Rosie with a tree Angama? Yes. He is not in the mood. And unfortunately, I don't have my reptile book with me, so I can't show you a picture. I don't know if any of you have seen one before, and maybe have a photo you can share. I'm actually going to turn around and around and around and around and see if we can find him again. Our blokop kogelmander. Jandre spotted him as we were driving along. It was an amazing spot. But one of the things, when he doesn't have his electric blue head, his body coloration and also the textures of his body blend into things like this marula tree that he's in extremely well. And then also there's some dead branches on the side of the marula, which means that there's a little bit of hollowed out space, so it's entirely possible that he's zipped up and inside. So Jandre, I think our lesson is maybe don't play I Spy for as long as we played I Spy. I'm sorry, everyone. Okay, maybe we find another one. Maybe we find something else. Spy with us in the bushes behind it, you never know. So we're going to carry on down the road and see what we can find. We're still going to find some tracks and sign, but I want to go more into bird tracks today. So I'm going to see if I can find you some good bird tracks. I also would really like to find caracal or serval tracks. I haven't seen those in a while. Or chameleon tracks. Yes, chameleon tracks is definitely on for today. That is a very special track. Okay. Jandre, other tracks you want to see?
Pangolin.
Jandre says pangolin tracks. I would also like to see pangolin tracks. I've been very lucky. I've seen many pangolins in my career, but never a pangolin track. So while we're busy looking for our very difficult tracks, we are going to head up to Tela with Chitwa in the Masai Mara, one of the best places on the continent to see them. You must enjoy.
I think I'm live. I'm not sure. The comms are really bad on the other side of the river, but we're sitting with the cheetah. I'm just going to pretend like I am live. In the pouring rain, as you can see, it's not particularly nice out here today. It's very, very windy too, so you can see the camera is moving about quite a bit. There isn't much we can do about it. We've decided to park exceptionally far away this afternoon as we are approaching zebra, topi, wildebeest, Thompson's gazelle, you name it. All of the above are around here. So the cheetahs have got a number of different things they can choose from this afternoon. Some zebra, and I'm sure there'll be some youngsters, and then some more zebra, and those are eland, might be a little bit too big. Those ones are quite close. Now, we have got one of our flaps down, so I'm not going to be able to show you all the animals, but basically to our right, which you can see the covers now, I'm only going to go out the window. Ta-da! Some wildebeest. That little magic little window there. And they have absolutely no idea that the cheetah are even around. But I don't know what they're going to go for yet. They haven't showed any interest in anything specific just yet. So we'll have to just be patient. Now, they've actually walked quite a distance, and they were just sitting down and resting. I think that the Thompson's gazelle and the zebra were slightly suspicious, but there's lots and lots of young Thompson's gazelle in there, which would make for a very easy meal. But those tasty gnu's would be a much better option. At least it would give them something to feed on, because 5 cheetah, 1 little Thompson's gazelle, that's not going to be very much at all, is it? That was a wildebeest, as you can see. It's a bit like a graveyard here, isn't it? Phew! But what an exciting day it's been. My goodness. It's been an interesting day. Right, I'm just checking again. I think our cheetah is still flat. They haven't done anything just yet. I can't believe how quickly they covered that area, hey Manu? It was amazing. I mean, they did maybe 2 or 3 miles in under 10 minutes. Just walking, just absolutely pacing themselves. We're just resting up just for the moment. They're looking around though. I apologize, I've got a little bit of the sniffles today because of all the cold weather that's come about. So it's quite interesting. When we first arrived at the site, we came racing because we saw some wildebeest running, and we thought, oh no, not again. They couldn't have beaten us to it again. Luckily they didn't. I think the wildebeest had just spotted them and decided to run away early. The 3 were attacking D'Artagnan and 1 other cheetah. It was quite interesting. The 2 of them were being very, very submissive and being pinned down to the ground by the other 3 boys. So that's quite interesting. I haven't spent much time with these cheetah, but from what I've read, I thought people were saying that D'Artagnan was one of the dominant males. But from the behavior, I suppose it is just one day, though, that I've been watching them. They're really bullying him. 3 of them ganging up on 2. So maybe those 3 are trying to overthrow the 2 most dominant ones. Kirst, are you still there? I'm not sure if I'm still even live, or if I was live to even begin with. No, I don't think so. I think I've been crash cut away from. Hello? Is there anybody there? Should I start singing? Let's send WhatsApps. I can hear curses sound like you went rah, rah, like you were mocking me, but I don't think you were mocking me. I think you were trying to ask me a question or something. I'm not sure. I do apologize, everybody. I think it could be the weather though, because it is very, very stormy all the way around us at the moment. We're quite lucky. We got poured on with rain. Now there seems to be a gap in the clouds, but you can't even see the Olololo escarpment anymore. It's just, well, you can see a tiny bit of it, so I'm sure that's what's heading towards Scott now. Hopefully it dies down before it gets to him, because that does not look very pretty. Yeah, no, that was terrible. We were lucky. There we go. I'm now communicating with Kirsty via WhatsApp. Paul, you're wondering, how far can cheetah walk in a day? Well, oh, hang on. I might have to put your question on hold, Paul, because as you can see, one cheetah has decided to hop up and sort of start stalking. Kirst, if you can hear me, I think we have already prepped a Facebook Live. I'm waiting for your messages to come through. Who's that? Is that D'Artagnan? Yeah, it is him that's decided to instigate this hunt. Every other time I have been here, there's been another male that's been very keen and initiated the hunting. D'Artagnan was always second. He wasn't far behind and following. And it seems as though today he's the keen one. I don't know what he's going to go for, though. I don't know if it's the topi behind the zebra. There's lots of wildebeest and things coming up now behind the zebra. There's big stallions in that herd and big mares. I would be impressed if they were to take down a fully grown zebra. I know that there are 5 of them, but sure, they're strong creatures, zebra. I mean, a wildebeest is typically, a lot easier. They're coming in, though. There's some wildebeest that are actually moving in now towards zebra and topi, so this could be quite cool. Let's just have a quick look and see what's come around. We're very far away, remember. We are keeping our distance. See how... There we go. There's a wildebeest. Some topi. That's good news. Because I think it would be a bit silly of them to try and go for a zebra, because one kick from the hooves of those zebra, it's going to find itself in a bit of trouble. That will be nasty. Oh, there's a little topi. Oh no. Don't go that way, topi. Don't go that way. So let me quickly go back. Sorry, Paul, you were wondering how far did cheetah walk in a day? They can travel huge distances. The one day I followed a cheetah from the Sabi River all the way to the northern boundary of Sabi and the Sabi Sands. As the crow flies, it was maybe about 10 kilometers or so, and that cheetah walked it within less than an hour and a half at max. It crossed out from the southern boundary all the way to the northern boundary, maybe actually a bit more than 10 kilometers. So they can travel huge distances. It's actually incredible how far they can move. And then with lots of questions, I'm getting them all through now, so I'm just going to run through them. I'm using my phone now. This amazing technology is so wonderful. And then there was a question from Palin as well. Would cheetah hunt in this weather? Palin, this is the most perfect weather for hunting. They've got the wind. They're downwind of all the animals too, so those wildebeest and zebra and topi are not going to smell them coming. Although I think the stallion within that herd actually spotted the cheetah already, because he was standing staring at them for a very, very long time. But he wasn't too panicked by it. And then, of course, the rain is perfect. So I apologize if you can hear some banging. It's just our covers blowing about in the wind. No, they've settled down again. I think they're waiting for everything to come around. I think they're hoping that someone's just going to make a wrong mistake and just go charging towards them. I mean, the topi is ideal, especially mom and little one. It'd be devastating, but of course these cheetah have got to eat too. There they all are. They don't know, because the topi police are pretty vigilant. And I think if they realized that there were cheetah there, they'd stop and stare, especially with youngsters at their sort of foot. Let's just see. Oh, there's more and more and more animals gathering around. And it's not the cheetah that are actually even having to put sort of having to move closer towards them. The animals are closing in all on their own. Oh, little topi, be careful. Moving straight towards those cheetah. Now, I mean, a cheetah don't have to get close like lions and leopards do. I mean, ideally they want a little bit of space so that they can be at their maximum speed by the time they've reached that animal. But topi are quick. I mean, they're related to the fastest antelope. So it's going to be especially if they go for an adult, it's definitely going to be a tough challenge. Wildebeest are much slower, but if those wildebeest can put a gap between them, they can keep going for sort of top speed for much longer than a cheetah would be able to. I can't even see those boys anymore. They're so camouflaged. Where did we... Now we've got to find them again. Where'd you go, cheetah? They haven't moved. There they are. I need to use the road as the marker. Although I actually can't see the road, I have to use the monitor. I think mine is just high enough. Oh, I see where they're laying now. Yes, just off to the right. Just keeping that in mind so I don't lose them again. D'Artagnan looked like he's just done a big yawn by the looks of it. At first I thought he'd actually lay down on his side. So they're just watching at the moment. Just deciding. But a hunt could happen at any second. Really, it could. And I'm glad to see everybody's decided to give the animals some some space. Cursed, your messages are hysterical. Right, okay, we're going to sit here for a whole lot longer. We're going to stay with him for the whole afternoon until they hunt something. I'm going to send you back across to South Africa, to Tristina, and apparently he's still got his elephants.
Taylor, Tristina is off today and decided to go home for some holiday and rest time. But we're still with our Ellies. There's a beautiful female and her young ones. They've been meandering along slowly but surely, just feeding as we've been going. And it's been so nice just being kind of sedentary afternoon. It's just kind of been sedentary. No, sedentary is not a word. Sedentary afternoon. It's just been a very relaxed, chilled time, and we've enjoyed spending it with them. Sens and I have been sitting in relative silence, just listening to them feed and having them around us and kind of just following them every now and then, but otherwise parking quite far ahead of them and then just watching them drift slowly towards us. It's actually been so nice to be once again with Ellies and just to sit and listen to all the calls around us. There's been a few impalas that drifted through at one point, a couple of warthogs as well, so it's just been a very, very relaxed, beautiful afternoon and beautiful sunlight, and it's very, very nice. There is a bit of a breeze that's blowing, which is very nice, and so hopefully these Ellies are going to stay out in the open and not head into a horrible thicket that is behind us. But it seems as though they are loving some of the vegetation that they keep finding here. So I've seen them destroying a couple of torchwoods. They've also gotten stuck into a number of the flowers on the bush willows and have really been thoroughly enjoying those, as well as the fresh leaves on the bush willows themselves. There's a few nice green leaves that they've been after, and so it's been fun watching them, just kind of how their diet has also changed over the last time that we had a lot of elephants here. The last time we saw a lot of elephants, they were digging a lot and they were breaking branches of the bush willows and actually eating the branches, whereas now it's changed to more the green grass growth and the green leaf growth that we're seeing on the trees itself. Now I'm just going to try and catch up again with them. They've kind of drifted off behind me a little bit, so I'll just try to keep up. Well, a male elephant's role pretty much, so sorry about that. Seems as though the gremlins are just going to be around this afternoon. Hopefully they'll at some point. We'll have to drive them through a buffalo thorn or something and get rid of them. But Jake, sorry, back to your question. The role of a male elephant really is simply just a breeding function when it comes to the elephant society. They play no role in fathering any of the elephants out here. They don't look after a territory like a male lion or male leopard would in order to keep the young ones safe. So it is purely a breeding role that they have within the herd structure. And that's kind of, as well as I suppose, a teaching role that are 16 years old that get pushed out of their respective herd and moved into solitude. They'll often join up with these big bulls, taught a lot on and how to be. Right, it seems as though the gremlins really are not. So I think I'm going to leave these elephants here and hopefully we'll try and catch up with some other Ellies somewhere else. But while we do that, let's go back to Noelle and see what she's been up to the last little bit. I believe she's got something spotty, but not what you think.
We have the Earth's tallest land mammal, which is the giraffe. So Tristan and I were actually having a super interesting conversation the other day. Last year, September, they've changed. So Tristan and I have both been guiding for quite a while. So our whole guiding careers, there's one species of giraffe and 9 different subspecies. Then of September last year, after all of this DNA data has been correlated, I want to say over the past 10, 15, 20 years, right around in there, they've now decided we have 4 species of giraffe and 5 subspecies. So I'm only pointing this out, not to get in too much to the taxonomy, which is super, super interesting, but I'm also just pointing it out for the fact that we as guides have to constantly keep learning. Things don't stay the same. Things are evolved the more that we as humans start to understand them, and or we as humans maybe just change our minds and perspectives on how we're going to look at something and therefore try a different angle in understanding the world around us. So this giraffe right now, this female giraffe, as you can tell by her short little horns that Gendre was looking at earlier. Thin, I should say, not short, but they are shorter than the males. Little bits of hair on tufts on top. Is just busy feeding. When she crossed the road in front of us, she was looking heavy and pregnant. I don't know if we're able to see her belly at all through the branches. Yeah, it's a little bit hard. You can see that it's hanging low there, but I think maybe we'll see if she comes out into the open more for me to discuss that. But she's going to give birth, I would guesstimate, within the next several months. They're pregnant for about 14 and a half months, right around in there. And then on top of her head, she has a beautiful little oxpecker. So the oxpecker's taking the ticks off of her, but the oxpecker's actually looking for the blood inside of the ticks. And if that giraffe has a wound at all on her, that oxpecker will keep the wound open to keep the blood flowing for its diet. Blood's not the only part, but it is a major part. Now she's feeding away, very gently taking the leaves off of that tree, using her dexterous tongue that's about 40 centimeters long and very dark in color. And then her lips move like Elvis. I can't do the Elvis lips, but they move like Elvis to help get around. And then she also has, interestingly enough, sorry, up under her lip, here, there's like these little bristles, almost like tiny little octopus arms, but hard. I'm trying to think of a good equivalent. It's like a rubber brush, kind of like that aids in getting all of her food source off. Now giraffes, interestingly enough, are on the red list, the IUCN red list. I believe it's threatened now. Not 100% on that one. I actually looked it up the other day and then my brain is just drawing a blank at the moment. So for us, it's one of the species that we really need to keep looking at and keep making sure that their habitat is a safe habitat. Now, with her being on her ace, it is unusual that females are on her ace, but as you can see, she is looking to her straight ahead, to our right, and she keeps doing this. Giraffes communicate with a frequency that is too low for us to hear. And so it's a possibility that the rest of her friends are farther off and that she's communicating but we can't see them. So Linda, you are wondering if female giraffes ever fight like male giraffes do. I have never seen female giraffes fight each other or fight males the way that males do. I have seen them brush off male advances, but their testosterone levels are very low, as it is with normally with other female species. The male's testosterone levels reach a point where that's one of the reasons why they want to fight, and then the females smell like they're ready to mate. And it gets them all geared up, and they also have to act all manly. The females are very chilled. Giraffes are one of the most chilled out mammal species you'll see in the bush, and they really could care less about many, many things. They carry on their lives in a really easy flow. So no, I've never seen that. It's a very good question though. There's definitely more giraffe down in there, and one of the reasons why I'm saying that there's more giraffe is that she's not alarm calling. So the alarm call is one of the only things that we can hear. It is at a frequency that works for us. It's a whoosh. That's it. That's the only sound. So if she was staring and going whoosh, and also she wouldn't be eating at the same time, then I would think maybe it's lion, maybe it's leopard, maybe it's cheetah. Although I've heard giraffe alarm call more for lion and leopard and a lot less for cheetah and wild dog, amazingly enough. I'm not seeing Gendre. I don't know, you're sitting up a little bit higher than I am. Do you see any giraffe heads poking out?
Negative.
Interesting. Alright, well, as much as we love a giraffe, Taylor has some cheetah that are busy hunting, so we're going to head back up north so that you can check on her and see what is happening with that amazing sighting.
Cheetah cats. Scott sent me a voice note now and he called them cheetah cats. I just had a little chuckle about it. Our cheetah cats though are very flat in the grass. for now. But the animals are creeping closer, and I promise you, they're all bunching up as well, and there's a variety of different animals. So we're just going to give it a little bit of time. We will probably inch forward in a minute or so. A lot of the cars are heading out, so what I always try and do, though, is if we are on a sighting with lots of other vehicles, I try and park where they have to park, because they're also trying to watch. But they all have to go home now because they can't stay out after dark, and we're quite far away from the gate. Evil laugh. So we'll be patient, and once the cars move off, then we can go slightly closer, which will be quite cool. But I don't want to influence the animals. I of course want to give both parties a good opportunity at either A, getting away, or B, the cheetah catching something. So it's very important that we try and make sure that we don't interfere with what's going on too much. I mean, we're very lucky to even just be here watching them. Okay, now that the vehicles are moving off, Manu, we can go closer. Now, Paula, you're wondering if certain animals of different species would ever herd together. I almost said a horrible word. What's wrong with me today? Yes, they will. We see it typically with wildebeest and zebra, in fact. And the Thompson's gazelle also just pop on in. So do the impala. It's actually very, very important. Safety in numbers is the thing that you must remember. So it actually doesn't matter what type of animal it is, whether it's from an elephant to a buffalo to a group of wildebeest, whatever it may be. If it means that there's more eyes and ears around to try and protect you, they're going to take their chance. I'm not going to go any closer than this. I'm going to stop just like this, because now we've got a good view, and it looks like those the cheetah cats have actually set up again. Once all the action dies down there, I will give you a proper reenactment as to what happened to us this afternoon. I think they are directly in front of my car on the right hand, on a little bit to the right, I think. Is the camera? Yeah, you should. There we go. You got them. So yes, it was an interesting afternoon, and I'll tell you properly exactly what. Because I think you'll enjoy the story, but now we must focus on the cheetah. Cheetah, please, you have no idea how excited you will make me if you catch something for me, please. Because I feel like I've tried so many times to catch you in the act, and I either I miss you, or I just can't find you. You just disappear, which happens too. Basically, we're in exactly the same spot where we left them the last evening that Scott and I had them, where we sort of double teamed, and I think they're just walking the same route, really. So it'll be interesting to try and figure out tomorrow where they go from here, because then we'll sort of know the full circuit and where we can pick them up again. But they're sneaky. Very, very sneaky cats. No action just yet. They're getting there. Maybe a little bit later. Now, Romit, you're wondering if they share roles during a hunt or feeding. There is a hierarchy amongst these boys. I'm not exactly sure of it. Like I said, from what I've read, maybe I read it incorrectly. I thought that they were saying that D'Artagnan and one other male were the more dominant ones. But I haven't exhibited that behavior at all. But again, it could just be coincidence that I happened to be arrived. Like I said, this whole afternoon I've been watching them being bullied. And then Manu was saying to me, every time he's seen the cheetah, and he's spent a whole bunch of time with the cheetah, and there's some stallions also, zebra stallions in the background just playing. And he said D'Artagnan is fed last. Now, which I find to be quite interesting. So we'll have to sort of see. And then there's this one male that I've seen now on a number of different occasions initiate the hunt. I need to try and figure out like a spot pattern, or how, look for certain markings so I can just get to know him and see if it is the same male every single time. D'Artagnan obviously showed a bit of interest, but we must just keep an eye out now when they do start to hunt, because they will hunt at some point. You can see they're sitting up again, and let's just have a look and see who initiates it. When you have big groups of cheetah like this, you can get coordinated hunts, but typically one will just sort of rush in, will have its eye on a particular prey species, and once it's caught it, the others will then run on in and help bring it down. But it's always quite chaotic, I find, when you watch cheetah hunt, especially in a group. With lions, everything seems to be a lot more coordinated, like they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And maybe that's just because also they have a lot stronger bonds in a pride of lions than you do with just a coalition of males. They're not as affectionate with one another, so they possibly don't know each other as well as I suppose lions do. I mean, you know what it's like. You know, if any of your siblings or your mother or your father, you can almost predict what they're going to do, what they're going to say at times. And that's essentially what you want when you're working in a group, especially when it comes to hunting. You know, you need to have team effort. But we'll see. We'll have a look this afternoon and see exactly what they do. The animals are still completely unaware. Actually, Manu, I think there's a topi that has spotted them. That one just behind or just in front of the car. I think the topi police are onto the cheetah. You'll get to them eventually if you keep pan. There we go. See how they're staring, or at least one of them is staring. Thompson's gazelle also slowly moving forward, which is not unusual behavior either. We often see it where prey will move towards a predator, as if to say, hey, I see you, I know that you're there. But we've still got a bit of space. I mean, if a cheetah can take off 40 or 50 meters away from its prey, by the time the prey has even realized that it's on its way, that, you know, cheetah are almost at top speed. They can move incredibly fast and cover huge distances in such a short space of time. That's a very brave Thompson's gazelle walking out, leading the pack. Well, I wonder, let's see, cheetah, are you fixated on it? Just concealing themselves in the grass for the minute. But the tables could turn at any time. They just look like little termite mounds. I can't tell you. Manu, how far away do you think those cheetah are from us? Maybe like 200 meters? Yeah, 300 meters? We're very, very far away. Oh, I wonder if the wind hasn't swirled, because the animals are now starting to run in the opposite direction, whether it's just that herd mentality where one started moving in the opposite direction and they all are going to copy and do exactly the same thing. It wouldn't surprise me, especially if it's with the wildebeest, if that's the case. I haven't heard one of them alarm yet, sort of do their grunting. And the zebra also going, okay, we'll just follow. I don't know, they're staring like they're suspicious of something, but I don't think they quite have realized what's around just yet. But every time those cheetahs sit up, and now that the clouds are starting to disperse as well, there's a lot more light. Yeah, they've seen them. That zebra has seen them. Now, Heather, you're wondering if all the cheetah will get involved if one cheetah starts to chase. We actually watched this the other day where we had it was Scott and I, and we had the one cheetah race on in and just chase one wildebeest around. Everyone else sort of stood and watched. I think unless they're really, really onto something, maybe they're all going to try to go for different things. And like I said, it's very uncoordinated every time I've ever seen a cheetah hunt. Obviously, one cheetah hunting on its own is different, but watching these boys hunt in a group is, it's not very, it's actually quite hard. Manu, do you find it particularly hard filming these boys? Especially at night, says Manu. They're all over the show, so you don't really know who to follow. So I think, yeah, if one's in and is going strong and is almost about to catch it, I reckon the others will then hone in on it and try and help with that. But we'll see now. Come on, animals. What's going to happen? Somebody make a move, please. It's like watching golf on TV, not even live. I think they're deciding. They might wait till it gets a little bit darker. I mean, cheetah will hunt when it's relatively dark too, because the wind is letting up now. The conditions were perfect about half an hour ago. Now it's just becoming more and more difficult for them because the conditions are improving for the herbivores. The wind is dying down. They're going to be able to hear a lot better. It's opening up. The clouds are opening up, so there's a lot more light around, so they'll be able to see better too. Boys, you're missing your window here. Yeah, I think they're on. I think these animals are onto them. They haven't particularly showed themselves, though. I mean, they've been quite good. When they ran over here, they just sat down. They've been sitting in the grass, and the animals have moved towards them. I think they've inched maybe a couple of meters since we've been here. All it takes is one to get up and start racing towards an area. But now there's a big gap between them. The distance between them and the animals is pretty much the length of I got tongue-tied there. The cheetah are now pretty much about 300-400 meters away from their prey, which means that if they were to run at top speed, they're going to be exhausted by the time they get anywhere near these animals. But this Tommy, and she looks pregnant. She's coming towards us now, but she's the closest thing to the cheetah at the moment. Where are you going, girl? I don't think she knows that there's cheetah there. She's probably looking at us going, what are you looking at? What's there? Listen, if I was an animal, I'd be very suspicious of any cars. I'd be the worst animal to try and photograph because I'd just keep away from vehicles constantly. There you go, she's getting off into a trot. Let's see if... Just watching the cheetah. She's going to run right past them. There they are in the back. Not interested. But again, they're very far. Well, they're watching. One's watching. Nah. I think it's all calm. All settled down for now. Just for now. Phew. Shall I tell you about what happened today? What do you think, Manu? Okay, so... Manu and I were driving around. We saw Malika and her two sons today, just by the way. As we arrived in the sighting, they chased and caught a scrub hare. It happened within a blink of an eye, literally of us arriving. It was crazy. It was my first time ever seeing Malika and her two boys, and they were so incredible. We wanted to go back to them this afternoon, but it's about an hour and a half drive from where we were. Anyway, so we were coming to try and follow up on the musketeers because they had been spotted, and we were very excited, and they said that they were hungry, they hadn't eaten anything, so we thought, right, spot on, we're in the money, we're going to go and sit with these boys. So on our way there, I thought, let's go past our lion den and see if Mom is home with her little ones, and before we could even get there, I decided I was feeling very brave, and I thought, well, we'll just cross here. And it was a crossing, but I could see that it looked like people had got stuck before. But now it had also rained, and the water had filled it up, so I wasn't quite sure as to how deep it actually was. Anyway, I took a gamble, went through, failed miserably. The car sat on its chassis, and I couldn't go anywhere. The back wheel, if it wasn't for that, we actually would have got through. It's just there was such deep ruts from somebody else that had got stuck in there before us. It was not pleasant. So anyway, we sat for, I don't even know how many hours we sat for eventually, and we got help. I got sunburned. We had buffalo death staring us. It was quite funny, actually. So then after that, then we went past to check the den site. Now, lion has moved her cubs, but I reckon after looking at that empty den site, that's where she gave birth. And we'll maybe go back there tomorrow morning and have a look, and I'll show you. You can see how worn it is. She's been there for a long time. So I think those cubs were at that age, were between 2 and 3 weeks old, and that's typically when they move their cubs for the first time as well to another spot. So that was a little bit sad. And we're actually in the area, aren't we, Manu? Yeah, we're right here, where the den site actually is, in fact, where these cheetah are. Remember, we had those young male lions here. There was a lot, so there could have been many different factors as to why she moved her youngsters, but hopefully we'll be able to find them again. And what else has happened? Then I reversed into a car. Very gently, though. Very gently. There was no damage to either of the vehicles. But this car decided that while we were live, he was going to park right up behind me. And then we went off air. And I literally just put the car in reverse. And I think I moved like 10 centimeters. That's how close he was. And I just said, bang. And our bars around the car bumped each other. So that was quite funny. So that's all happened today. We had our first meal of the day at what time? 4 o'clock. We've had so much fun today. Now, this is going to be the cherry on top, because mine and I'm not going anywhere until these boys hunt. And there they are.